Hello everybody, in today's video I'm going to take you from Bellevue College in Washington, Seattle, United States to Copenhagen in Denmark. We're going to take a virtual tour and we take a short walk along the waterfront in Copenhagen. We're going to make a few stops and I'll share some of the photos I took during my last trip to Copenhagen, and in doing so, we hope to establish a culturally unique way of understanding the value of space and how to cleverly arrange that space so that the past of your culture is connected seamlessly to the future of your culture. So we're going to go ahead and depart from Bellevue College and fly over to Denmark. It probably will be a little bit dizzy in the following second or so, so brace yourself. And then we're there in Copenhagen, and like I said, we're going to make just a few stops at some of the monumental architecture along the waterfront in Copenhagen. If you have been to Copenhagen, and I'm not going to cover everything that is significant, this is just within a very small areas, and actually all of the stops that we're going to provide narrations during this short video are already visible in this screenshot, but we are going to get started with the first building over here. As you can see, I'm circling around that particular building. That's the Royal Library of Copenhagen in Denmark. This is the new building that you can see. It's in a square shape, but what's really unique is the exterior of that building. It is covered with black stone imported from South Africa. Under the sun, you can see that how it shimmers, and it's really beautiful. I took several pictures of it. As you can see, this particular picture over here is what I took during a boat tour. So I was actually on the water surface. Right in front of me is the circle bridge that I'm going to cover later, but behind that circle bridge you can see the Royal Library. It's in that black rectangle shape, and it's covered with black stone, and it has this nickname of the Black Diamond. This is a closer look of the same building. As you can see that the picture was taken in late afternoon. If it's early afternoon or at noon, I'm going to guess that you can see completely different combination of light and the shadow just because of the particular angle of the sun, of the sunshine. And then we're going to make a stop in front of the library. This is the entrance of the library, and you can see if I turn around very slowly, you can see the same river, the water transportation, and I'm going to show you very briefly that you can see the circle bridge from the other angle. And inside the library, we have a large open space all the way up to the ceiling. And over here is a picture I took during my trip inside the library on the 6th floor. They actually have a vista point that's called the Grand View. So I went up all the way to the 6th floor, and I took this picture from the Grand View. And you can see that from the inside, you can roughly make out the same circle bridge outside of the library, and you can make out the wavy line of the library, as well as the unique setup of the sky bridge, the walkway, as well as several of the escalator. And if you're familiar with Harry Potter, and you probably remember the moving staircase, and rumor has it that J.K. Rowling actually got her inspiration from the particular architect who designed this library. What's also unique, and remember I said earlier that this is a very wonderful experience, designing the space, utilizing the space, connecting the past to the future. And from the inside of the new Royal Library, you actually can just directly walk over, and what we can see over here, the short skywalk, is the boundary between the old library and the new library. So we're right standing at the border of the new library side, and if we continue walking, which I did during my trip, you actually will just enter the old library, which is like a traditional library. Both sections of the library are still in use, and you can see that people utilizing the space in their own way. And if we imagine taking a bird view of the same area, you can see that this is the Royal Library over here, and I want to show you the very beautiful area. You can see that the geometry is almost perfect of this island or cluster of islands that's called Christian's Haven, which is an artificial island, which means it's man-made islands, or a group of man-made islands that's created for privileged merchants coming from the south, so from Dutch and from Germany, and they come over to Copenhagen to trade and to manage their business. And Copenhagen, the royal family decided to design these artificial islands for this designated use. So you can see that how the borders of the peninsula of the islands was perfectly cut into shapes, and I believe this is cater to a very upscale lifestyle. And if you take a boat tour and you get to tour other interesting areas of Copenhagen waterfront, but eventually you're gonna go through this very narrow tunnel over here, and you make a turn and you move towards the Circle Bridge, and this is precisely where I took the previous two pictures with the Circle Bridge and the front facet of the Royal Library. And over here are several pictures I took during my boat tour, and you can see that the particular Christian Haven area was again a combination of very traditional architecture blended with very modern ones. Over here you can see this is a very modern residential building, a very upscale one. I actually literally saw a very nicely elegant lady. She was sitting at our balcony and strokes on her cat. I think that she has her cat sitting on her lap. But then in between a very modern residential buildings, you can see the church. So again, this is a very unique impression that you may have, that how this waterfront area is a perfect combination of the past and the future. And then we want to highlight two particular bridges within this area. This is a photo I borrowed from Google Earth from a person named Zachary. I didn't take this picture on the Circle Bridge, but this is the picture he took while on the Circle Bridge. So I'm going to move very gently to show you those circles. And those circles at night will be turned into light rains, and you will see the very beautiful light rains floating above the bridge. And this is how the bridge got its name, the Circle Bridge. It was designed by Danish and Icelandic architecture Olof Eriksson, and it's right next to the same area, the artificial islands that we just talked about, as well as the very narrow waterway. So so far we have looked at the library, the bridge, and the artificial island that's called Copenhagen. We are going to move slightly towards the left. We're going to visit an architecture that has its nickname of the box, and it's actually a Danish architecture center. It's a museum. I'm very interested in architecture, so I made sure to pay a visit to the museum. And here are a few pictures I took while inside the museum. And once you enter the museum, you will see the very big sign that says "Give Form," and this is because literally in Danish, the word architecture actually stands for the meaning of giving form. So they're very much treating it very seriously, and they believe in the power and the meaning a piece of architecture can give a community, can give a culture, because it is given form to one's life experience. Once you are on the second floor, you have a showing room, and you have floor-to-ceiling windows where of course, you can see from the window the Royal Library. Again, a very unique black rectangle shape. And across the bridge, you see this unique blend of traditional Danish architecture. And this building, I believe, was once used for the Royal Soldiers' Barrack. And now it's used for something else. And this is another shot from the second floor of the Architecture Museum, where you can see the library to the left, and across the waterway you get to see the Circle Bridge. And then finally, we're going to make our stop at the bridge of Langebro, and I believe Langebro refers to the neighborhood on this side of the waterway, and over here it is the Copenhagen that we talked about earlier, the artificial cluster of islands. This is a very unique bridge that was incredibly new. It was just designed back in 2019, and it is very much designed to honor the very powerful presence of bicycle, the culture of bicycling in Denmark, in Copenhagen. So we have this very nice article that we can look at additional pictures that will give you a sense of the beauty of the bridge, because unfortunately I went there at the cloudy and gloomy weather, and I hope we can leave with a very nice impression that does the justice to the bridge. If you can still imagine, over here, this glass decorated architecture, this building is the box, so the Architecture Museum. So right next to it is this bridge that I want to talk more of. You can see that there are lots of people bicycling across the city, and this particular bridge was designed to facilitate a smooth transition on both sides of the river. And you can see that the shape of this bridge, it is 160-degree bridge. It is designed with this very nice, almost wing-like exterior structure to give you free imagination of those different lines and how the surface and the hue probably can change during different times during the day because of the dance between light and the shadow. So I'll stop the tour right here, and I hope this very brief walk around the Copenhagen waterfront, and we visited several monumental architecture, buildings and bridges, could give you an idea of how a unique understanding of space and how design can be informed by that unique cultural understanding of space, and really reflect a seamless connection between the past and the future.